Hey guys, so Diane is in Denver right now. She's getting some work done, and it's weird not having her around here, so we thought we'd do a video about something else that doesn't involve the bus directly. But first, we wanted to thank our most recent patrons. So we had a burst of people come out and want to support us like that. That's really cool. We really appreciate that. So thank you very, very, very much to Frank Milligan, Sam Jones, and Charles Buckley.
Oh, and also the Hippie Geeks. We were already following them on YouTube. They have a Skoolie of their own and a lot of cool DIY projects, and you should check them out.
Yeah.
I'll put a link below.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys so much. We really, truly, that kind of support is insanely appreciated. And a little housekeeping stuff. So as far as Patreon goes, we're never going to ask you guys to pay for content. The stuff that we do is free to anyone. However, we do have some incentives for people that do enjoy supporting us on Patreon and do want to support us in that way. A lot of those incentives are products that we make specifically, so that we'll send to you as a thank you. And also, we try to answer as many questions as we can, like on YouTube, email, whatever, but we pay special attention to our patrons. And so if patrons ask us questions, we do our best to answer those as soon as we possibly can, because it makes sense as far as priorities go.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
thank you guys so incredibly much. And we basically put that money straight back into creating these kinds of videos. So know that if you do choose to support us in that way, it does help make this happen, which is cool. We had a lot of positive feedback from the 15 things that we wish we knew video. And so we were thinking about how we can, sort of continue that. And one of the things we thought of that seems to be on a lot of people's minds, rightfully so, is our expenses. How expensive is this, and what are some things that you could do to save money? We have certainly not done this as cheaply as we possibly could have. And that's partially by accident, partially on purpose for some specific things, certain things that we've chosen to spend a little bit more on because of one reason or another.
So far, we've already spent about $18,000, and we're not done, but we're close. If you want to see more details at rollingvistas.com, we have like a conversion cost worksheet where we've tried to keep track of as many things as we can.
It's not perfect. We haven't kept every single receipt, but that's a good ballpark.
Things.
And I'd probably add maybe a grand to that at the end of the day for just a little
screws.
Bits and pieces.
Screws.
And we had sort of a budget coming in that we wanted it to be right at 20,000 or so. And that's over the course of 2 years.
For that, yeah.
Yeah, we're looking on track for that. We might go up over that slightly, but we're good so far. And it's been over the course of 2 years. We certainly didn't have 20K in the bank, and that we're just paying cash for everything. We paid cash for probably about half of that, and then the rest we're sort of paying off over time. Some of the things that, if you're just beginning to build and you're intimidated by that number, or some people spend twice that. Some people spend half that. So it really, it's a huge range. You can spend as much as you want or almost as little as you want. So here are some things that you guys could potentially do to help save money during your Skoolie build.
Number one is all about patience. We posted a video a while back about our almost huge, disastrous choice because we had the bus fever, right? And we bought a bus quickly instead of waiting for the right bus and the right price, and we almost paid for it big time. All that to say, be patient, and auctions are probably the best way to go.
Auctions are probably the cheapest way to go. If you buy from a dealer, the dealer has to make money, and they have overhead that they have to deal with, and so inevitably it's going to be more expensive coming from a dealer. Not that you shouldn't necessarily buy from a dealer. It did not work out for us, almost disastrously, but they helped us out quite a lot. So dealers are sometimes a really good way to go. But if you're really trying to be as frugal as you possibly can, buying from an auction is really probably going to be your best bet.
If we could do it again, we would still go the auction route.
Yeah, just for an example, when we bought our bus from a dealer, we paid $6,000, which was $2,000 over our budget. After that whole fiasco, we went to an auction, and then we paid
$2,500
after dealer costs.
Yeah, so that's based off of our example, that's $3,500 in potential savings.
And the bus that we got at auction didn't break down on the way home.
Yes.
Number 2, do your own plumbing if you can. Doing your own plumbing, I mean, a lot of what can really start to add up is if you hire people to do certain things. Their time costs money, just like yours does. But if you're, again, this is about being totally frugal. If you're trying to save as much money as humanly possible, doing everything you can yourself is going to definitely save you a lot of dollars. Right. Now, if you're not sure how to do plumbing, I wasn't sure. I learned, sort of, and got it done. But if that's something that really intimidates you, by all means, hire someone to do it, and it'll be done right. But again, frugality, if you can do it yourself, go for it. Side by side with plumbing, number 3, do your own electrical. And really, that can be said for just about everything. Like, if you're doing it yourself, chances are you're going to spend less money if you hire someone else to do it for you. Now, the opposite side of that is if you do it yourself and it takes forever, or if you do it wrong and you have to redo it, buy more parts again or something, then the cost can offset. So you kind of have to gauge, like, is this a project that has the potential for me to do it properly? If there's no chance, and sometimes it's cheaper to pay more up front than to have to do it twice. In our case, we decided to go with something a little bit more expensive that's sort of an all-in-one unit. We have our reasons for that. If you're staying totally frugal, doing your own electrical yourself and piecing your entire system together will definitely help you out.
Number 4, use traditional insulation like fiberglass insulation, denim insulation, or even find recycled insulation rather than using the spray foam.
If you want to save money.
If you want to save money. This is what this is all about. Now, we chose the spray foam. It's the closed cell spray foam because there's a lot of reasons. It's the highest R value you can get. It's antimicrobial. It adds like some rigidity to the structure of the bus.
Structure, yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons we chose that, but you could also save a lot of money by doing regular insulation. So, for example, we spent about $900 on the spray foam kit from Foamit Green. We kind of estimate if you used regular insulation, you might spend $200. So that's another $700 in potential savings.
Number 5, make your own composting toilet. So by skipping the black tank, that's some savings right there. You don't have to plumb the black tank. You also don't have to deal with a black tank.
But that's whether you make your own composting toilet or buy a composting toilet. So you save money, I think.
Just by going compost, you're going to save money.
Yeah, I think so.
If you want to save money further, then skip out on the really more expensive pre-made composting toilets like Nature's Head, or there are a few others. We have the Nature's Head. You can make your own composting toilet
for like less than $100.
No, for like you
can
make your
$50.
Own for like 20, because it's like the basic version is a bucket with a bag and some moss or sawdust or something.
Yeah.
We didn't want to do that.
No.
We just didn't want to do that. And we were okay, so we have the Nature's Head, and everybody says, you know what, that's a lot of money for a toilet. And it is. It is. Nature's Head is $1,000. It's one of the most expensive things, ironically, one of the most expensive things that we bought for the bus. However, if you think about the worst case scenario of a black tank versus worst case scenario of Nature's Head composting toilet, I'll take the worst case scenario for the Nature's Head every time.
Yeah.
Between the two of us, I knew I was going to be the one dealing with it, and I kind of made the call. I was like, we're just doing this. They know what they're doing. They've built it, and they've gone through enough iterations.
And it's sealed, it's vented. It's like, I don't want to run any risks with
we don't
that.
have to reinvent the wheel.
But all that to say, Nature's Head is like $1,000.
It can be done without, or don't even have a toilet. Or you could just stop on the side of the road.
That's true.
Go in the woods if you're boondocking.
A lot of people go that way.
Yeah, stop on gas stations, gym memberships. There's a lot of other ways around it. So either not having one, making your own compost. Those are probably the two most cost-effective ways for going to the bathroom.
Yeah. So if you did decide to go that route, it could be, that's another like what, $800 or $900
That's-
in
yeah.
potential savings.
Yeah, we'll say $900 in savings. So.
Number 6, similarly, you can make your own wood-burning stove. I've seen people make them. I didn't feel really comfortable doing that. If you didn't want to make one, you could also get a small used wood-burning stove off of Craigslist or something. That's actually the route we went the first time. We spent like maybe $150 on this cute little potbelly stove, trying not to spend that big money on like a tiny wood stove or a cubic mini stove.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, we ended up getting that anyway. So, you know, they say the poor man pays twice.
Poor man pays twice.
But we were able to sell that first one and get most of that money back. So that was okay.
And we could have stayed with the potbelly, but
It would have worked.
We decided to go for the cubic mini because it's better sealed, and we're not going to have as hard a time keeping the draw the way we want it to. And so in our minds, it was going to be better for us, provide better efficiency if we went with a cubic mini. But if we wanted to, we could have stayed with the original. But all of that to say, if you're on the fence, it seems like in our experience for sure that if you're on the fence between a less expensive frugal item and a more expensive higher quality item, as long as it's higher quality.
Yeah, maybe go for the quality.
If you go for the quality, you're probably not going to regret it, most likely.
For example, we paid about $150 for that Craigslist potbelly stove.
Mm-hmm.
And the cubic Grizzly, when we bought it, was $850. So right there, another $700 in potential savings.
Number 7, you can save a lot of money by skipping out on bigger appliances. So things like, you know, a laundry machine. I haven't seen anybody with a dishwasher.
Yeah, I have.
Okay, if you don't need a dishwasher, if you don't need a shower necessarily, if you don't need an oven, you know, those are large appliances that add up over time. If you don't need a residential refrigerator, that's a money and space savings.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can bear without those, then you have the potential to save quite a lot of money.
Right. So like if you just say you were going to get a dishwasher, an oven, and a laundry machine, say those are $500 a pop. That's a $1,500 in potential savings just by skipping out on those things and committing to doing your dishes by hand or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 8, another way you could save some money is commit to cooking simply. We're not going to have a blender, an automatic coffee maker, an electric coffee grinder, an instant pot, there's very few things we're going to take with us, which is going to save us space, it's going to save us energy, and it's going to save us money.
That's what this whole thing's all about too, at least for us. So we feel like if we don't need those things, then we save that money and then save all the other things that go along with it. So.
Okay.
What thunder? Chocolate thunder from
Should I go let Tuco in?
Yeah. So number 9, kind of along that same vein. If you can do without a TV, just use a laptop or a tablet or your phone or something that you already have that you don't have to buy to put in the bus. Now, if you already have a TV or something and that's important to you, go for it. But if you're staying frugal and you don't want to spend too much, skip the TV.
Mm-hmm.
Use a computer, use something that you already have to entertain yourself, watch videos, stream, whatever it may be. So eliminating things like a TV that aren't necessary, that you could find other ways to entertain yourself, that's one way to help save some money for sure.
Mm-hmm. And that's one less thing to plug in.
Yeah, exactly. Not only saves money, but saves power.
All right, number 10, this might be an obvious one, but it's been harder for us than we thought it was going to be. Buy used. Find salvage things.
Yep.
Look for things at thrift stores, Habitat for Humanity, Craigslist. One thing that's been hard about that for us is that by the time we needed something and wanted to look for it, it was kind of too late because you kind of have to plan that ahead.
Yeah.
And if you know you want to reuse a lot of things, you need to start looking for that stuff now. It's storming.
It's storming. I think we need to call it.
Oh.
We're getting winds blowing.
I think we're going to have to cut this short. We will continue this inside.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.
We're on number 11. You do that one.
All right. Number 11, be organized. That's definitely a way to help save money. It just doesn't make a ton of sense initially, but if you're organized, you're not going to buy things twice. So like for a lot of things, we bought screws or nails or something and lost them and then had to buy them again. Like I mentioned in my last video, I mean, we found them later and we've been using them all, but at the same time, if you don't have to do that, and it's not just screws and small things. Like we've had to buy, not because we've lost them, but we've had to buy some power tools twice.
Well, yeah, because we like the heat gun, we couldn't find our heat gun, so we bought another one, which was wasteful because we found it, obviously.
That was stupid.
Or like painter's tape, and I don't know. There have been a few things we've lost money on because we bought two and we weren't able to use both things. So that's just But yeah, screws we've used most of. Number 12, be open to an eclectic style. It looks cuter in a bus anyway when things don't match perfectly, I think. And then you're going to be able to find more used things, piece them together, and it'll come together in the end. You'll be able to put those finishing touches on it with your decor that makes it all come together. So just be open to it.
Yeah, I feel like if you have to have your bus look a certain way, follow a specific design or have everything matched, then you'll probably end up spending more money because of that.
Yeah.
And if you want to have that, that's great. That's where one of your priorities are. But if you're trying to save money and that's one of the things where you don't mind so much, and if you can be open to an eclectic mix of things in the bus, then that is certainly helpful. So that you can pick and find things that they don't necessarily have to match exactly. And they are really charming, the buses that do that. But the buses that are all even and everything matches, those are pretty cool too. So it's your preferences, of course, but as far as money goes, being open to an eclectic style certainly helps. So number 13, if you can get by with less water, if you're not going to be boondocking a ton, or if you are going to be boondocking, if you really are okay about watching your water situation, not having to go for extra gray tanks or extra fresh tanks or plumbing those, that adds additional time as well as monetary expenditures. If you can get by with that, or if you're okay with going with a little bit less water, then that's certainly a monetary savings.
Yeah, and that's one of the things we were most surprised by when we were shopping for stuff for the bus, that tanks are expensive, and not only are they expensive, it usually costs more to ship them than the tank cost itself. Yeah. So for that reason, the best we found is Class A Customs, because they're on Amazon and you can... I don't know if they have Prime shipping, but they have much cheaper shipping than some of the other websites. On their website, on Class A Customs website, they have an option, which we did not know about earlier. They have an option for calculated shipment or flat price free shipping. So that free price includes shipping, of course. But sometimes, depending on where you are, that may be less expensive than having them calculated. So if you're looking at tanks, look on Class A Customs website. They do have a lot of options, really, and pretty reasonably priced. But in general, tanks do tend to be pretty expensive. So the fewer that you need and the less water that you need, the more money you'll save. Speaking of the water tanks, an option that we weighed a lot, we finally made a decision on, you could skip the gray tank altogether. A lot of people let their shower and kitchen sink drain to the ground. If you're using all natural soaps and stuff, that's okay, but that's not allowed everywhere you go. Yep. And ultimately that's why we decided we do want a gray tank. Yeah. If you stay in one spot for too long and your gray tank or your gray water has a lot of food waste and stuff, it can start to smell bad, which isn't great for you, but it's certainly not respectful for other campers nearby. So if you are dumping to the ground, make sure that you're using the right stuff and you don't dump too much down there, or else it'll start to stink. And so on gray tanks, we spent about $200, so that's another $200 potentially in savings if you went for that option. Number 14, it may behoove you, if your options are close enough, that you elect to go with a bus that you could keep on your own property to start working on and actually do the conversion on your in your own driveway, or if you have some land, putting it there. In our case, what we did, our driveway is 32 feet long, and we knew that we didn't want to spend money putting it somewhere else. We looked at the local laws, and we decided that as long as it stays within our driveway,
we can make it work. So we started looking for a school bus that was around 30 feet long, and that's what we found, and it checked off all our other boxes. Now, obviously, not everybody can even have any kind of Skoolie on their property, but if you can, and it's close enough in length to make it work, electing to go for one that you can keep on your own property and work on yourself at your own time, without having to pay someone else to store it for any period of time, will definitely help you save some money.
Yeah, and not to mention you'll save on gas because you're not having to drive back and forth to convert it all the time.
Also true. Number 15, everybody gets really excited about Skoolie paint jobs, and one way to save a bunch of money is to paint it yourself. If you get a school bus painted professionally, I mean, you're looking at probably $5,000 easy. We've seen people pay $5,000 for it, which if you're all about having that paint job look exactly the way you want it to and have it be auto grade, then yeah, you kind of have to do that unless you really know what you're doing. But if you're okay with doing it yourself, I've seen a lot of really nice DIY paint jobs that spend a few $100s tops, so that's certainly a good way to go if you're looking to save money.
Number 16, a big way you could save money on your Skoolie conversion is by not gutting it to the bare metal. There's a lot of good reasons to gut it, because there could be rust that you need to deal with. There could be mold in the insulation or something. You might want to insulate it yourself so it's higher R value.
People have found like rats and snakes, depending on where you are, where it's been stored. I mean, but if it hasn't been stored out in the woods or in a really natural environment, if it's just sort of been sitting in a parking lot somewhere, chances are it probably doesn't have all that stuff underneath it.
And if it's not that old. But we see a lot of people that don't gut it. I think that might be a really good choice if you were like looking to use it as a weekend camper or something. And I'm not saying it can't be done otherwise, because there's a lot of people living in those buses and it looks great. So you'd save money. You would save a lot of time. And you would also save on, dealing with little spots of rust and insulation and all that stuff. So that's a big way you could save a lot of money.
Number 17. One way to save money is to not have solar, for starters, right? So if you don't buy the solar panels, you don't have to buy an inverter, all that jazz. If you just, even if you don't do anything, but maybe skipping solar and just wiring for shore power when you're plugged into an RV site. Mm-hmm. If you're going to be boondocking and you do want to do solar, there are ways to spend less money on solar than you would maybe normally. You can just pick your specific panels to only have as much power as you need, your battery system and the wattage of your solar panels themselves. Make sure you're not paying for more than you're really going to use.
Number 18, if you can, borrow or rent your tools. We have awesome friends that have let us borrow a lot of tools. Thank you guys. There's also, in a lot of cities, there's like tool libraries where you can pay a monthly or yearly fee, and then you can go borrow whatever you want, which is awesome, because then you don't have to buy a new tool that you're inevitably going to have to give away or sell once you move into your bus.
And even if you don't have a free service or a membership service around you, you can still go and rent the items that you need. It does make sense to buy the ones that you use all the time, but for us, a circular saw and a table saw, we didn't need that often, and so we just rented or borrowed those. But we bought, screwdrivers, a miter saw, which we've used all the time.
Yeah.
And so stuff like that. But take advantage of rentals whenever you can.
Number 19, another way you could save some money, probably about $1,000 according to what we've researched, by not towing a vehicle behind your bus. Not even mentioning the extra gas and the cost of the vehicle, just the cost of having a tow package installed could save you another $1,000.
Number 20, if you don't have to, you can save a lot of money by not doing a roof raise. Now, if you have to do a roof raise, you could also potentially do it yourself. I don't think there are that many people out there that by themselves could handle a project like that. I know that we couldn't.
No.
We couldn't. We'd even begin to fathom that. For the absolute lowest, don't do a roof raise. Mm-hmm. That'll save you a lot of money and time.
And this comes back to the patience thing. Yeah. Some of the school buses that Zach and I toured, Zach's hair was touching the ceiling, And he's not a tall guy. We're not tall people.
I'm-
I wanted that bus. I
Yeah.
wanted us to buy that bus. And now I'm really glad we didn't, because now I can jump in the bus without my head touching the ceiling. And Zach has plenty of room.
And just
so
to give you a
it's
little
worth it.
to give you a little reference, I'm 5'8" on a good day.
I'm
You're
5'4".
5'4", so we're not the biggest people. And I think those are probably the people that need the roof raised the most.
Right,
So
you might need it.
easy
And-
for us to say.
And
but
man, it looks so cool. It
Oh,
looks
it's
so much
incredible.
bigger. You get so much more storage.
yeah. But if you don't have to, it could save you some money.
Yeah. So there they are. That's 20 ideas we have for saving money on your Skoolie. At this point, like we said, we're approaching $20,000 on this build, and that's freaky for us. We've never spent that much on anything, but we keep having to remind each other that this is our house.
Yep. Yeah, it's our house, and we're okay with spending a little bit extra on a few things because we anticipate living in it for at least 5 years. That's the idea anyway, is to, as long as we don't hate it, do this for 5 years, save a bunch of money, and hopefully we go past 5 years, fingers crossed. But that's our goal at the moment anyway. Hopefully some of those tips you could find useful. What kinds of ways do you save money on your build? What did you elect to do yourself instead of pay someone else to do? Or did you find a product or a service that ends up being a lot less expensive than a normal option or some option that a lot of other people do? Let us know in the comments. It might help us out. We're not completely done yet, so we might end up taking some of that advice. So thank you guys very much for watching. We really appreciate it. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe. Helps the channel out a ton. And yeah, we'll see you next time.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Jeez, Frank.